Yo, what it do, YouTube? It's your boy. Nah, this is your brother, J International, tapping back in once again. Sometimes in life, you have to make a pivot. And what I want to talk about today is making pivots in your life. In my life, there was a few times where I had to make a pivot. Now, what do I mean by pivot? You know, pivot means a whole different change of direction. There were a few times in my life that I had to make major pivots. I think one of my first, in my childhood life, I had to make a pivot when my father got married and we had to move to a whole nother city. That was one of my first pivots, because I had to move in with a woman that I didn't really know. I guess, they were dating when they were younger, and they decided to reconnect in their 40s, I believe. Yeah, in their 40s. And get married. So I had to pivot because I had to uproot everything that I knew, from my school, my friends, everything. And I pivoted. I made a pivot to a whole new life in another city, right? The second time that I had to pivot is when my father untimely demise. I was about 17 years old, and I was basically structuring my life with him being in it, because actually I just turned 18. Oh, let me say that. I just turned 18. So I was structuring my life with him being in it. I was working in his company. He had just helped me get my first apartment. I was enrolled in college, and I was, structuring my life around him being in my life. And when he suddenly just untimely passing, it just happened just like that, here one day and he's gone, it was a total upending and pivot that I had to make, and I wasn't ready to make. But I had to pivot to life of no real backbone, no family support, really, because up until that point, he was married to my stepmom, but me and her, we didn't have a good relationship. Me and her didn't really get along. I didn't, she was very mean. She was at times abusive emotionally. So I had to pivot to life without no support. I moved in with my dad's best friend, but he had his own life going on. He had his own children. He had his own problems. He had his own issues. So really, he couldn't really, he did what he could, but he provided a place for me to go. But outside of that, I had to really fend for myself. And so I went from having someone to lean on my father to just thrown into this adulthood of now you on your own. And so I had to pivot. I had to, you know, I was going to college, but after that happened, my mind wasn't really there. So I kind of started messing up my grades, and I just wanted to hang out and party and drink, and you know, I was dealing with that. And so, you know, but at the time, to get to it, at the time, I made the adjustments. And now around, you know, my early 20s, then I pivoted to adulthood, full adulthood, you know, having a job. Well, I had started that around 18, actually, because I said I had my own apartment. I had a job. But now I was like, this is like full-fledged, this is serious. You know, you're out here by yourself, no family support, no mentor. So I had to pivot to full-on fledged, just you out here in this world. And I made that pivot, and around that time I got serious about going to college. And this is when I was like, you know what? I don't want to be no minimum wage, no minimum labor person forever, because I was working in warehouses and whatnot. I need to step my game up, you know. And all I've been taught, you know, I was not taught actually, you know, things until later, is that, okay, in order for you to up your life, just go to school and get a degree. That's what I was taught. You know, this is my early 20s. I was not taught that you need to go to school and get a degree in this specific subject until a little bit later, and I'll get into that. I wasn't taught that, oh, maybe you don't need to go to college. Maybe a trade would be sufficient. These things I was not taught. Nobody elder, not even my father's best friend, he didn't even tell me that college was not always necessary. The only person that tried to give me another route is my one uncle that took me in at one time. And I tried to go into the military, and that's another story. But, you know, I wanted to go to the Navy because one of my cousins was in the Navy, and he was like, you should go to the Navy. You know, you're young, it seems like you ain't got no direction right now, go to the Navy. So I went to take the test, I didn't pass, I gave up. That's another story. So anyway, so I pivoted, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to school, got my degree. I got my degree, but during that process, like I said, I was just told, go to school, get your degree so you can get it, you know, whatever, you know, your life, white picket fence and all that. There was a white Latino Hispanic professor who tried to tell me, he knew I was majoring in business, and he was like, look, you know, without saying it in so many words, you're black, you're probably not going to be successful in a white man's business corporate world. What you could do is change your major to engineering and get a minor in business. And he was basically saying that, hey, when you, as an engineer, they can't stop you. Your skills will speak for yourself. So I did take his advice, but then this is what happened. You know, I was getting radical into my black power stuff, and I spoke out against an injustice. I got locked up for speaking out against an injustice from a white person, and I was incarcerated. So when I fought for my freedom, and eventually I accepted something just to get out, I had to make another pivot. And I was like, you know what? You know, this, you know, engineering, it seems like it's going to take a longer time. There's going to be a lot more math involved. I gotta take all these physics courses. You know, I'm exhausted from being incarcerated for all this time and having to fight for I just want to get this stuff done with. So I was like, you know what? I'm changing my major back to business. A big mistake, a big mistake, because this is what's going to lead me to why I feel like I'm here right now at this present time as a truck driver. There's nothing wrong with being a truck driver. But so anyway, getting on with it. So I got out. I just changed my major back to business because I said, hey, this is going to be faster. It's going to be easier. I got my degree, went out, started looking for jobs, looking for careers. Couldn't get anything. Couldn't get nothing. Countless interviews, countless resumes being submitted. Nothing. It led to nothing. The only thing I was offered, only type of jobs I was offered, I didn't need my degree for. So I just went back to what I was doing while I was in college, which was security, because I took security so I can study and work and still go to college. So I was doing security, and eventually that I did it for some years, and then I got laid off. I got fired. I'm like, you know what? I'm tired of this, getting fired and stuff like this. I'm gonna be my own hustler. So I started to hustle. Damn. Now, speeding, going up, hustling for years, I was like, I like this. You know what I'm saying? It gave me my freedom. It gave me my ability to travel, to be an entrepreneur. I was able to make money, how much money I wanted to make. I was able to travel when I wanted to travel. I was able to stack up however much I wanted to stack up. Damn, the pandemic hit, shut everything down. So I had to make another pivot to the gig economy, because it wasn't as lucrative as when I was an entrepreneur, self-made, but it gave me the freedom to do what I wanted to do. So I switched to the gig economy. And fortunately, during the pandemic, because everybody was locked in, it was very, 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 very lucrative. It was almost equal to what I was making when I was the entrepreneur, right? So that was another pivot. Then COVID, 2 years passed. COVID kind of passed over, and everybody was starting to come outside. The gig economy just dried up. Just dried the hell up, and the restaurants started to open up, and that's just dried up. So I'm like, damn, what can I do now? So I had to make another pivot, and this is where I'm currently at right now, which is as a CDL truck driver. And for right now, this business is still in demand. It's still, doing what it has to do. So the point of the thing is, in life, you may have to make some pivots, and never, be afraid of making those pivots, because it might be a pivot for a better situation. Always be prepared to make pivots in this changing world, and unpredictable environment, and unpredictable economy. So with that being said, this is your brother Jay International, tapping back in once again. Like, share, and subscribe. I'll holler at you later. Peace.